Dungeons and Dragons and D&D in a Castle present this season's great games. Now, in November, I will be running 2 games at D&D in a Castle over 2 weeks, and you can book for those right now. I will also be running a session in April 2024. So if you fancy a nice getaway, an amazing experience in a traditional castle of epic proportions with the most amazing game masters that are out there, these folks really know what they're doing and they invite me along for whatever reason. It is a absolutely mind-blowing experience playing our favorite game in an amazing space, and there's so many things that happen in and around the games. I mean, I go back so many times because it is so much fun. It is such an amazing experience. D&D in a Castle, book now. I'm taking your ideas and turning them into a campaign. It's exciting. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of How to Be a Great GM. That's you, by the way. How to be you. How to be so much more you. You know, I'm me and I can be more me. I certainly can, and you can certainly be more you. So how are we going to be doing that? Well, I did that video, One Idea, 16 Adventures, a couple weeks ago, and you guys just responded so enthusiastically with some amazing ideas that I decided I'm going to take 5 of those, not the top 5, not the first 5, but basically 5 from the first sort of 24 hours of submission. And I just kind of randomly chose them. And I'm going to take those 5 and I'm going to create a campaign out of it. I don't know where the campaign's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the 5 suggestions are. I literally just pulled them out. And so we're going to create a campaign out of that. So this is the journey. Join me to see how these things can work. And it's just going to be amazing. Okay, so who were the submissions? What are the first ones? And I had to write down the names because the names are complicated. So here we go. This is the first one. Martin Foot 8224 came up with the idea, and I might have paraphrased a few bits and bobs here and there, but came up with the idea. Someone is stealing the vehicles of those who lose at the zero-G races. Okay, so this is clearly science fiction, zero gravity races. We've got some races going on. Someone's stealing the cars of the racers. That's a great idea for an adventure. Why would they be stealing the cars? But we're not going to ask those questions just yet. So the second idea, this came from Tubbsy 1994 or Tubbsy 1994. A sword of magical power has been shattered and distributed throughout the kingdom. Whoever forges it will become king. Lovely idea, but not science fiction. So we have a problem. No, we don't. Moving swiftly along. Willow the Wispy wrote, a factory in Middletown, America that used to make cars is haunted. PCs must lift the curse. The cars are possessed. Okay, a horror, a fantasy, a sci-fi. This is going well. Rolling a D44 expanded upon an idea submitted by Dam Bartholomew W6575. The PCs find a silver dragon corpse. It recently laid eggs nearby somewhere, and she died due to a curse. Okay, so now we've got some fantasy, and again, now we've got a mystery. Great, same as the stealing cars. It's a bit of a mystery one, isn't it? Okay, and then the last one was Idiotenglans wrote, the PCs must free a hero of the revolution from the moving mountain prison. So we've got a heist or a rescue, I suppose. Now, how are we going to unite all of those very different things together? What are we going to do? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose a tone. Now, is this going to be lighthearted? Is it going to be comedy? Is it going to be action adventure? And I think the tone, to me anyway, what a lot of them come out of those 5 is a mystery. Someone stealing the cars. Why did the dragon die? Who put the curse on the dragon? Why is the sword that gets reforged? Why is it super powerful? Why is the factory in middle America? There's lots of mystery going on. So I think an action mystery Scooby-Doo kind of style campaign works really well. Next, we're going to choose a genre. What is our genre for this entire thing? Well, we've got haunted cars, we've got magical swords, we've got curses, we've got ghosts, we've got theft of items. I would like to categorize this. You could go anything. You could go fantasy. And then all you do is the stealing of the zero-G cars is the stealing of the racing wyverns. The haunted factory in Middle America is actually a haunted blacksmith shop in Middle Dwarfdom. You know, you can do whatever you like. I'm going to, for the purpose of this exercise, choose Cthulhu Sci-Fi. Now, Cthulhu is one of those systems where you can play Cthulhu Historical, you can play Cthulhu Victorian, you can play Cthulhu 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, you can play Cthulhu Roman, thanks to Modiphius's contributions. You can play Cthulhu pretty much in any time period. Now, if I think Cthulhu Sci-Fi, the very first thing that comes to my mind was the Aliens films franchise. Some mystery there. Where did the aliens come from? Are they, that sort of thing. So I think that works quite nicely. So now we need to take sentences and we need to Cthulhu Sci-Fi them. So the dragon that gets slain, well, that could still work. It would be a space beast of some kind. Was it cursed? Well, that's very Cthulhu-esque. Something caused it to die. And its eggs are somewhere. The eggs have got this super predator, maybe, if I'm thinking aliens, or the eggs have some kind of weird ultimate xenomorph. Now I'm thinking the fifth element, the perfect being, the fifth element, literally. So we've got a lot of options. The haunting of the factory in Middle America is now obviously a factory in space, and it could be in the middle of a federation or a republic, something along those lines. So just subtle changes to bring them all into alignment. The next step is then to build a sentence. And I'm going to build a sentence by asking the word why. So why is someone stealing vehicles from a zero-G race competition? Why? What is special about those vehicles? The shattered sword, which becomes, let's say, the blueprints for a super weapon. That could be quite fun. So if they put the blueprints together, they build a super weapon. Why was it scattered across the universe? Or how did it get spread across the universe? Remember those questions: where, what, when, where, and why, and how? The factory that makes vehicles is haunted. Why is it haunted? What is haunting it specifically? What happened in the factory to cause it to be haunted in the first place? The alien dragon thing that gave birth, why was it cursed? The rebel hero who has to be freed, well, there wasn't much that we needed to change with that. There's rebellions happening all the time. How can we now link these 5 different things together? And you start to go, okay, what's the common denominator? What is the central point around which most of these can be linked? I think, and this is one option of many, it could be the factory. The factory makes zero-G vehicles. What if the rebel worked in this factory? What if the rebel had the plans for the super weapon, but hid them in vehicles made within the factory? And so the vehicles all got shipped in different directions, scattering it across the universe. I haven't broken any of the original ideas. I'm now incorporating them. So how do we get the alien eggs involved? Let's link these things together. Okay, so the rebel hero knows where the super weapon pieces are because he knows in which vehicles he hid them. Or the haunted factory is maybe where the alien got cursed. Interesting. Let's see where that goes. These are just my notes, right? The vehicles are stolen because they came from the factory. The superweapon plans are hidden in each of the vehicles. The rebel worked at the factory. The alien was cursed because her eggs would be used in the superweapon once finished. Interesting. Where does the curse come from? So that leads me to then trying to flesh this out and going, well, who bestows curses? What does Cthulhu have to say about this? Because we chose Cthulhu Sci-Fi. I chose Cthulhu Sci-Fi. How does Cthulhu Sci-Fi link into this? Well, we've got the sci-fi down pat. We know. We're building zero-G racing vehicles, and this curse person is trying to reassemble the super weapon, which the rebel denied them by hiding the plans in all of the different vehicles. Okay, so this super creature can curse things. Well, that to my mind suggests some kind of godlike being or something extra dimensional, which is very Cthulhu-esque. So what if an extra dimensional being was trying to get into this universe by using the super weapon? And the super weapon would allow the eggs of the alien to be infested by the super extra dimensional being's seed, and thus would be the way in which it would get into the universe. So rather than a rip in space-time allows us to connect one universe to the other, no, these alien eggs, this particular alien, might be out of phase or in a transient phase state where sometimes it's in one universe and sometimes it's in another. Brilliant! And its eggs exist in both at the same time. But there needs to be a way to build a device which would allow the eggs to be held in one dimension for long enough for them to hatch, which would be how the superpower gets into our universe. It literally gets born in this universe, having been able to infest the eggs in one side. So now we put that into a sentence. And the sentence would read something like this. The big bad is an extra-dimensional horror that needs the super weapon to open an interdimensional door so that it can impregnate the only alien eggs capable of giving rise to its form of a galactic crushing being. And so there we have our sentence, derived from 5 very different ideas, and I have to say, I think it's awesome. The player characters, oh, it's so easy to get them involved. This alien crawls up to them looking pale. It's been touched on the other side by, or tortured on the other side by the extra-dimensional being. It says, "He cannot find my eggs. Don't let him find my eggs." And it dies. And so then they have to find the eggs. So they find the eggs on 1 or 2 adventures. Then they get hired because someone's stealing cars. Why the hell are they stealing very specific cars? But cars are being stolen from all over the galaxy. And they're found ripped apart, but left. All the useful pieces have been left. None of them seem to have anything missing from them, except the manufacturer's plate. The manufacturer's plate leads us back to the factory. The factory, we discover that there were workers that tried to rebel against their overlords because the overlords are duplicitous, weird beings. And suddenly we learn about the hero, and the hero tells us about the weapon, and the weapon allows us to realize that the eggs that we've got all along. Do you see how it just creates itself? I love this job! Being a game master is freaking amazing, folks. It's just awesome. And it's written itself. We haven't had to do anything. It's literally taken me 14 minutes to go bum, 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 bum. Thank you very much for playing. And there we go. I'd love to play this campaign. It's going to be super creepy. And the players are going to think it's ghosts. It's not ghosts, it's extra-dimensional beings trying to manifest themselves in our dimension. Anyway, I think that this has demonstrated how wonderful our hobby is and what you can do to create amazing campaigns by taking 5 completely unrelated things and relating them together. Big thank you to my amazing patrons. Love each and every single one of you. I wish I could game with all of you, but I just don't have the time. I really don't have the time. And until next week, a huge thank you to you for watching all the way to the end, and happy gaming.